With Jesus joy in my own heart first. Let me first greet you, ma. Fortune is my portion in Christ 2024. God, I am so redeemed to flourish in hard times. Can we all celebrate the phenomenon? Amiable, wise, calm, understanding, and a pace setter, Wendy Ologe. Your hands together for her, please, man. Oh, you're not going to stop it there. Bigger and better. The one who has brought about the intentional pay renting. She's so intentional. Please scream, please scream, please scream. Thank you so much, man. You know when as teenagers you see your celebrities, you're allow me be a teenager for about a second. Oh my goodness, is this you, ma? Is this you? Oh, come on, please. Photographers, please, oh, please. Thank you so much. Are we done? Everybody say cheese for us. Thank you so much, man. We sincerely appreciate you. Before you take the mic, we want to let you know that we do not take your time here for granted. We are grateful. Thank you for having us in mind to come. We could have said, you could have told us you were busy, and yes, we will believe because you're a very busy woman. We do not take it for granted. We sincerely appreciate you. And we know that whatever it is you're about to teach us now will stick with us for life. We are grateful. God bless you. Thank you.
Hello, Benin! Please be seated. Thank you so much for the honor. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I was listening to the Honorable Commissioner. Thank you, ma'am. And while she was talking, I was asking myself, what else am I going to tell these people? She has finished. She was entering some corners, and I was like, oh, more. Your Omo was honored. Yadas, are you here? Alrighty, thank you so much, and you're welcome. I want to specially say thank you to TJ. I met the unusual TJ some 6 years ago when I was starting out. Benin has an interesting side for me. So I just met Bishop Febi Dahosa, and I was sharing with him that part of my journey was my connection with the Archbishop. So the Benin system for me is, I also have a father who's Benzeli Dahosa is a father too. So of course, we're in our grandfather's place. All right, thank you so much, and God bless you. Today, I have been charged to speak on the power of intentional parenting. TJ did not tell me what to speak on. I chose to speak on the power of intentional parenting. I met TJ 6 years ago, and I've seen so much of the amazing work that TJ has done in the digital space. I've listened to him talk to parents about digital space. We run an online conference. He's spoken on that conference, severally, and every time I hear him speak, I come to the place where I know, like I have always known, that the problem is not the digital space. The problem is not tech. Our problem is not tech. Our problem is that we don't know what to do with tech. All right? So that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. So many times people tell me, raising children in these times, this problem, children in this time are not well raised, parents of this time are not good parents. I agree. But we're coming from somewhere, a lot. Our a lotness is a lot. We're coming from a place where we have been raised by a generation who were, I use the word confused, permit me. Our parents were not sure because they were also coming from war. They didn't understand a lot of things, so their trauma was traumatizing them. They raised us in that trauma, and all of us are here today. Now, there were also the set of people who were transitioning from the agrarian society to the industrialized society. So there was a lot of confusion. They were the ones that were told you go to school, you get a good job, and you become. For instance, I have a dad who was a principal of a school. And my father is also a businessman. But the business part of my father was a part he never wanted us to do. My father made money being a businessman, but of course projected himself as a principal of a school. Why? Because in their time, it was more honorable, in quote, to be that principal. So we were not taught what it means to actually be able to trade our talents. Now, that was a generation of the people who raised us. People who didn't understand fulfillment, they only survived. So they only survived. They couldn't leave. Our parents didn't leave. They didn't have the opportunity to leave. Now, they gave birth to us. And then they raised us in all of that. And I tell you the sad thing, we're even more confused than our parents. Why? Because when you sow a seed, what happens is that seed germinates and the fruit becomes a lot. So the multiplication strategy have even made it even more that we are now, what we are grappling with is a lot. Now, are we going to sit here today and blame our parents? If we do, then we will implode. I keep saying that this generation is the latest generation that can save Africa. Because if we don't stand up to what is happening, then we're going to lose Africa as a whole, as it is. And the only place to do that, to make it happen, is actually going back to the family system. The society is the product of the family. It's not the other way around. So people tell me, oh, Nigeria is bad. Oh, this is happening. Who are the leaders in Nigeria? Where do they come from? They come from homes. Who raised them? So when you argue that we turned out okay, I'm fascinated by that. How did we become okay? What is okay about the system we run today? There's nothing okay about it. So we're not okay. And we need to get to a point where we agree and tell ourselves the truth, that there's something wrong with what have now become, so that we can deal with it intentionally. And that's why today I'm talking about the power of intentional parenting. I like the Bible a lot. And I teach from the Bible because I'm first a Christian. If you have a problem with the Bible, just look at it as a book for the purpose of this class. In Proverbs 24:3-4, it says, any enterprise is built by wisdom. It becomes strong through common sense and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast with facts. Wisdom. Bishop Febb was teaching and he said something. He said, there is information. Your children do not need you for any kind of information, and that's the truth. They don't need you. You're not that important when it comes to information. We are in the era of knowledge. I said something. Our parents were in the industrialized era. It has moved. We are now in the era of knowledge. That's why I laugh when parents say, who taught our parents parenting? Why do we need to... You will jog. You will jog. I know you're looking at me, you're wondering, what's she talking? Does she have children? I have 14-year-olds. 2, a set of twins. I'm not as young as I look. So that you also, somewhere in your mind, and you're thinking, what's she talking about? What does she know? A lot. Apart from the fact that I have been privileged to train parents all over the world in their thousands, I also have my own personal experience being a parent. And I say that what you need today to become a parent is not information, you need wisdom. That's what you trade in today's world, being a parent. And wisdom is not on the streets. You don't pick it on the streets. The Bible said that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. The reason we are in unstable is because there is no wisdom and there is no knowledge in the true sense of it. It's Ecclesiastes that, this guy said that the journey of the foolish man wearieth him, all of them, because they do not know how to go to the city. There is a how. If your parenting is wearying you, you don't know the how. You don't know the how. Because if you don't know the how, you're going to get weary. The Bible talked about facts. He said, keeping abreast of the fact. Are we keeping abreast of the fact of today? I was teaching the other day in the academy. We run an academy online called the Intentional Parents Academy. And I was teaching the parents and I said to them, your children now call you BBT. You know what that means? Born before technology. You do that, they say, you are BBT. You don't even know what's happening. You don't know because you have refused to pay attention and learn. I'm very techy. I have a son who is tech, as in his tech savviness is serving me. So I will not go and be sleeping. How? That time you're using to scroll on social media, it was commissioner that was talking. I was laughing. All that time, some of you to use it to go and learn what it is that the tech system is. So you say, this their tech thing, I don't really know how it is that they do it. Your children will sell you right in your house. Collect change and pocket. And pocket it. We must come to the place where we are keeping abreast with the things that are happening. If I say now, how many of us know what is happening with the drug, system in Nigeria? Many of us, we don't even have an idea. 8-year-olds are getting addicted to cocaine. I live in Abuja, and I'm telling you for free that you get into schools, you see 8-year-olds with cocaine. Shebi, we throw money now. And then you have your child, who probably you cannot even buy cocaine every month. Go and get addicted. What do you think will happen? We're screaming, we're saying you need to stand up and learn. A lot of people are telling us, our parents, I'm sure many of us have said that. Our parents, what did they learn? You have moved. It's culturally unintelligent to say, in my time. It's one of the most stupid things I hear parents say. In my time, this thing does not happen like that. Children of these days are so spoiled. Oshe, we have moved. We have moved because that your time is gone forever. It is not returning. There's nothing like in my time. Many people say in my time. Children on a tap of a tab, a child watches porn. Were you able to watch porn in your time like that? Which time? I don't know about you. For you to watch porn, I grew up in Owerri. For you to watch porn, those days, there are many considerations. Number one, where will I go and hire the DVD so that the person will not, my father is not coming back, the person will announce to my father, there's something your daughter collected today. I just said, let me tell you. Number two consideration, what if NEPA take light? You know, say that thing, they come out from that place. The thing is stuck. So what it means is that when they are now about to listen to 9 p.m. news, they don't do bam, and they will just roll. Who shall you explain to? You go explain tire. You go explain tire. So, and then you now come and think of all the things that will happen afterwards. Is it the announcement to auntie upon auntie that will come, that will preach to you, or the church? Or is it the father? Where we grew up in the Catholic system. We had priests come to my house. So they say, Father, there's something I want to tell you. And Father is going to preach to you for the next 2 years on the same matter. When you think it, there is restraint. Your children don't have restraint. You know, we think some things are style. Your child turns 13, you give them a tab, lock them in on TikTok. And for you, you're teaching your child to be, I want my child to be digital, I just want my child to be in the digital. How do you teach a digital native tech? teach someone who is born in tech how to use tech? Doesn't make sense. Because you have gone to computer school to go and learn how to type. They gave you certificate. How many of you collected certificates? You collected certificate, and then you finish collecting certificate. In your mind, they need to go to one. A parent beat the child because he thought the child can learn a particular type of typing. The child said, the child was 13. He said, Mom, I don't need to learn it. And the mother was like, what do you mean? You are very arrogant about. The guy said, I know how to do these things. Nobody needs to teach them. They were born in tech. You are the one that is not a digital native. You are the one that is born before technology, BBT. That's who you are. You are the one that need to be learning. You are the one that need to keep abreast. I changed my iPad recently, and our son came in, and I was like, there are some things I couldn't, do. All he needed to do, he didn't read no manual. I'll be reading manual, study manual, like saying a book. My son just came like this. Mom, what do you need? This is how you do it. I said, how did you learn? He said, it's just there. It's just there. Have you not noticed that you give birth to a child? The child picks up, a toddler, picks up phone, and it's just swiping. These are the people you want to teach tech. It's just swiping. Have you seen 2-year-olds swiping? I'm like, what's happening? So we must be intentional in teaching. We're teaching children who have access to knowledge. Highly knowledgeable set of human beings. And then if you couple it with the kind of people that I have in my own house, who have a genealogy of Janus, then you are in trouble. Their grandfather made a first class, is a Janus. So when my children are speaking, you're cuckoo quiet. So if you're not keeping up abreast with the information they are assessing, the kind of brain that they have, you will get lost. You can't direct somebody you don't know more than. Many in our homes right now, our children are now the ones directing us. They are now the ones parenting us. One of my favorite books, I like to write books a lot, because I believe that one of the ways we can leave this cankerworm is by reading and by gaining knowledge. My first book was Connect to Correct. In that book, I postulated and I said that parenting is about you, not your child. All this focus on the child. My child did not do, your child did nothing. The problem is you. The problem is not the child. The problem is you. And I'm going to share this Bible story again. Abraham was told that he was going to become the father of many nations. And then God told him, you need to leave where you were, and then you need to actually go to a place where I have called you to be. What do you think happened? 30 years later, Abraham didn't have Isaac. Why? God needed Abraham to grow. The first thing you need to be an intentional parent is to grow. If you don't grow, you won't be able to raise a Messiah. Every child is born a God in your hands. The Bible says that because ye are gods, and ye are the children of the Most High. It means that you're raising another God. The first thing you require as an intentional parent is not to parent, is to grow. Because your child is a reflection of who you are. A child is a product of who raised them, how they were raised, where they were raised, and what the person who raised them know. I keep humorously saying that if a Mark Zuckerberg was raised in Nigeria, he will not be a Mark Zuckerberg. Where you are raised is as important as everything. Your environment. Who raised you is very key. If the mother of Moses was not the person who raised Moses, Moses wouldn't have been the savior unto the children of Israel. Because there was no place it was prophesied that Moses was going to save the children of Israel. The mother was the person who saw the prophecy and said, you know what? I saw where it is written that somebody, a Messiah, will arise that will take the children of Israel out of Egypt. And the woman keyed into the prophecy and said, you know what? I will raise this Messiah. What can you see? Until you grow, you can't see. Until you grow, you can't see. You are limited to what it is that you know. Your knowledge is your limitation. It's my father in the Lord, Bishop David Oyedepo, that will say that there's no mountain anywhere. Everybody's ignorance is their mountain. What you don't know is bigger than you. You don't know it, you don't know it. And you know the problem. When you don't know, it can cause a scar forever when it comes to parenting. Some parenting scars never go away. I had the privilege of counseling a particular parent whose child was transitioning from a boy to a girl. Yes, Nigerian parents, so that you don't deceive yourselves. And tell yourself, it's not a Nigerian teen, it's abroad. It will shock you. Don't allow, these are teenagers, don't allow them shock you. They will shock you to your bone marrow. And today, the child has been transitioning, breasts are budding. Unfortunately, they live abroad. So yes, there's a support system. And yes, there's nothing we can do. My coach, reach there. I get a bit of kisheka, reach there. Reach. My gandus are no reach. Reach. Oh my indaboskiness. I cannot do anything. What? You stand on the line of mercy. Because even God said, I will have mercy on whom I choose to have mercy. You can't even ask for mercy and know that it will come. You can't even, but then there is grace. Which it takes me to the second point, knowledge. You need knowledge to parent in this time. And beyond knowledge, you need wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. One of those days, our son had come back from school. And he met me in the study. And he said, they're in boarding school. And he said, Mom, something happened. Commissioner was talking about being able to actually have interaction with your children. If you cannot get into the world of your children, you can't influence them. You see all this, the lion, the emperor, the conqueror, the lion is here. That you do in your house. They just call you just walk like this. And you're just puffing up. You don't know who you are raising. The greatest disaster we see in this generation is parents not knowing who they are raising. No connection. You don't understand who they are. You don't even understand their tendencies. Do you know that there are children who are thrill-seeking naturally? And the tendency of a thrill-seeker to do drugs is 80%. So if you have a natural thrill-seeker and you don't position and help that child early, you have disaster in your hands already. So what is the makeup of that child? Back to my story. Our son had come. Our son is very sanguine. Who will I give as an example of sanguine? TJ. Where is he? He's a very good example of a sanguine. Popping, lively, loves the life. He's one of those people that when you tell my son, this thing that you did, and you finish, he says, I'm sorry, Mom. And then in 2 minutes, oh, what's up? What's happening? What's popping? And you're like, you're supposed to be sober, guy. So I understand that that's the kind of person he is. So he loves fun. He loves to play. He likes the, easy life. Sanguines love easy life. My son loves easy life. Soft life. For that kind of child, if you do not raise them up with responsibility, you are in trouble from day one. And he comes to me and he says, you know what? There's this particular game. My children don't play online games. No, we don't. There is a limit to the media access that we have. And that's one thing you must understand. Your children must have limit to media access. In your home, there has to be a media plan. If you are in the academy, you understand what I'm talking about. That's why knowledge transcends everything. You create a media plan. What must be done and what must not be done. You are the parent, you are not their friend. Friendship is a tool in parenting, it's not a relationship. When you become a friend, you blur the lines. And you're not able to actually become the person of instruction that you should be. That's who you are. So media must be created in such a way that everybody knows what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Your parenting must be predictable to the point that your children understand that if this is done in this house, is a no-no. That's how predictable my home is. You know what is wrong. I don't need to be shouting from down to bottom. No, why? And when you do it, you know the consequences of what is wrong. By the time he came to me, he said to me, Mom, people are playing this game. They were talking about it in school, everybody. So I felt like I was the only one not talking about it. You see all this? He responds. Many parents say, why can't you be the only one? Does it matter? Must you do what everybody is doing? Everybody is pressurized by their peers, including you. Including you. Every single one of us is pressurized by their peers. Now you need to position yourself, whether it's the positive peer influence or the negative one. If somebody invited you here, it's pressure now, it's peer pressure. You don't know. It's influence. That's what it is. It's just the positive part of it. So your child is compulsory to be pressurized. So they say, must you be there when I was in your time? When I was in my time, nobody can tell me what to do. I am a man of my own. I'm a woman of my own. Well done, no? The child is going through something and requires that you apply wisdom in that time. What did I do? See, let me tell you the truth. At that point, all I wanted to do was, you don't know the family values? Yeah. Preacher, Ndaboski. I was going to start preaching. We have taught this. We have done this. But of course, with what I know, I was able to restrain myself. Knowledge positions you to actually gain authority on your parenting journey. It's not force. Authority is not force and control. Authority is trust and respect. If your child cannot trust you, if your child cannot respect you, you have lost authority over that child. So by the time he came to me, it means that he trusted me. If I say, why are you doing this? Your mates are now influencing you. That means I have killed the trust. He trusted me to be able to be vulnerable to me in the times where he's feeling down. And I said, I caught myself and I said, son, let me tell you a story about me and my friends. They wanted me to buy a particular thing because we were going somewhere, and I don't have budget to actually buy that thing. But somehow I was going to fall for it. Everybody was just buying that. Coach, this is simple now. I tell you don't have money. It's pressure now. And I said, I almost did, but I came back and I remembered that, okay, this is not in my budget. Let me just, I was restrained. I said, when they wore it, I still came out with my own thing and I still popped. And there are things I have they don't have. And it's okay. I didn't say any other thing. And I said, anyway, if you want to try the game, we can go and look at it together online and see what the game is about. Since you're curious about it, let's go and look at it. He woke up the next day, came to me, and I asked him, do you still want to try the game? He said, no, ma'am, there's no need. I said, why? He said, because I understand that it's not about the game itself. I understand that the risk I stand being online with that game, there are too many risks associated with it. I have thought of the consequences. Am I really ready to face the consequences if something goes wrong? And I said, you're sure? He said, so what when they are talking about it in school and everybody's talking about it and saying, this thing that happened, what will you do? He said, Mom, there are many things I know they don't know. I am the top guy. I'm the top guy. I'm the only prefect in junior school. So I'm the top guy. So I can stand it. They should bring on the heat. What did I do? have built the confidence that he has in the thing that he knows without bringing him down. Without making him feel that making a mistake or being vulnerable is bad. Without making him think that if I want to do something that is wrong, it now makes me a bad person. It's the same thing we do. Your child comes to you and say, oh, there's this boy that's talking to me. You say, go and take fasting. Go and, you kabash on top of the child's head. What does that mean? It is a natural phenomenon. What happens is that when your child makes mistakes, they come to you and you tell them that those mistakes are bad, they look for another person, because human beings will make mistakes all of the time. So they look for somebody who will actually listen to them. Knowledge. Knowledge. The next thing is that you need skills. You need skills. And I'm going to tell you the story and the parable of the 10 virgins. I wrote it, very clearly in my book, Raising an Independent Thinking Child. If your child is going to think independently, it's not on the screen. They think outside of the screen before they get on the screen. The screen is an enhancer. It's not a skill. I was listening to, it was your senior sister who was saying earlier, where we're now raising children who cannot think. Who can think critically because we think that the tech will think for them. Unfortunately for us, it was Bishop Febb who was talking about the skills. The children who build these skills will still lead their peers in years to come. Because it's skills that position you for leadership. It's not, tech is an enhancer of the skills that you have built. That guy earlier who was talking about photography, he learned that it's a skill. But he has used tech to now improve it. He now teaches online. He now, everything is now tech. What I do is parent coaching. But we're 100% online academy, 100%. We're parents from Australia, China, name it, Trinidad and Tobago. There's no part of the world where we don't have presence in the world today. None. Why? Tech. But you need to actually teach the child the skills. You need to grow the skills and then use tech to enhance. The skills your child will need to thrive in the 21st century is not on the screen. It's outside of the screen. The skills your child will need to thrive in the 21st century is not on the screen. It is outside of the screen. Our daughter is 14. Our daughter cooks up a storm. When I mean a storm, I mean a storm. Our daughter can host 30 people, 50. Bring it on. She's been doing it since she was 10. Bring it on. Anybody. I don't cook now. My nails popping. Always. She enjoys to do it, but it's a skill that she has learned. Part of what we have built around her is that when you are ready and you're going to be online, you're going to be that chef that everybody loves to watch. That's what I'm talking about. So don't raise consumers, raise producers. Raising consumers is a slavery mentality, and that's what was sold to our parents. Don't repeat it. Raise children who can create. Ask yourself every time, what are the skills I'm building in my child? Buying your child a tablet and putting them on TikTok does not make them tech savvy. It doesn't make them tech savvy. That's just you. Sometimes it's even your own ego. I saw somebody in the mall recently. She was walking in front. 4 of her children were dragging iPad behind her. She was all walking like this, like tolo tolo. And I just felt bad. As in, I felt sorry. She didn't know. And I can't stop my calling. It doesn't include stopping on the road and teaching you. I couldn't teach her, but I was pained. We're now having children who are socially awkward, who cannot interact in the social space, We're not having children who are unskilled with their emotions. Why? Because the screen is an illusion. It works up. There's a reason why the American Pediatrician Association said children less than 2 should have nothing to do with screen. Nothing. Including your phone that they are swiping. You're killing their brain. You're killing the way the brain learns. You're changing the developmental process. I have a medical background. I tell you something. Some of the things you do is sometimes in a way that people are like, no, it doesn't matter. You're killing the gray matter. The gray matter is actually where the learning center is. Why do you think in Africa most of us actually struggle with creativity? The gray matter is attacked all the time. Our disciplinary structure attacks the gray matter. So a child will do something. Wah. Our children can't think. They can't solve a problem. They can't solve a problem because we are not teaching them how to solve a problem. Problem solving is a skill. And if you have a parent who cannot solve a problem, you will become a child who cannot solve a problem. Skills. Another example is emotional intelligence. I was raised by a father whose emotions were just everywhere, unplanned, uncatered for, on anything that you can name. My father was an amazing father. He taught me how to speak. Taught me how to speak in public. As in real lessons. He taught us leadership. In my home, it's a crime to go to secondary school without being a prefect. You would have committed a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime to go to school and come home with anything less than a 2-1 is a crime in my house. That's how we were raised. However, there were many things that our parents did that we cannot afford to repeat. My mom was someone who could manage her emotions a lot. Very responsible with her emotions. My father wasn't. Do you know what my father did? Instead, she prayed. She said, I will marry a woman who is not as erratic as I am, so that, my children will just learn from it. Unfortunately for him, bad characters, we learn it faster than the good one. So somebody like me started my journey, yella. By the time you say, no. You say, no, it's the children. They are making me shout. They are making me yell. No child makes you yell. You choose to yell. It's a choice. I had to begin to work on myself. I had to begin to build the skills of emotional intelligence. And I wrote a book, From Yelling to Calm. It was my story. How I moved from that yeller to a calm parent. You too can. Anybody can. Today, when I'm talking to my dad, every time we're having emotional intelligence classes, I'm very close to my father. And every time when I'm talking to him, I'm always, we're always having conversations. Recently, we had a conversation, and I said, Daddy, so after this master class, I'm not going to do this thing. He said, my daughter, you're very wise. I've taken counsel. 2 days later, that counsel became like counsel of Ahithophel. And we talked about it, and I said, you're a recovery EI problematic. We laugh about it, but these things are real. He was going to make a mess of my own journey if I wasn't intentional and conscious. I had to build the skill. I had to be able to create an environment that was nurturing. Parenting is about nurturing. That's what it is. I hear you, fathers. I'm happy that there are a lot of fathers in here who are going to say, the man needs to actually, use that voice and make sure that that's not true. When you build a relationship with your children, you have a better result. A far more better result. Far more. The aim is to build a transformational family. Unfortunately, we're all coming from a transactional family. Come first, be well, I will love you. When you are making money and you give me, I will love you. It's transaction. We don't even love our children for who they are. We love the child that is performing better. I always ask parents, do you really love your child? They say, yes, I love you, I love my child. Hello, it's not true. Calm down. Think about it. The moment that child is behaving or making a mistake, that love is thrown away from the window. I'm even getting bitter about the things this child is doing. Is it your child you are loving, or is it the thing that the child is doing? And the moment you don't learn how to really love a child, you won't learn how to help the child. Discipline is about helping a child grow. It's not about destroying a child. In my book, Discipline is Not an Emergency, I said, if when a tree is falling, it makes a lot of noise. When a seed is growing, it doesn't make noise. If your discipline is noisy, it is destructive. If your discipline is noisy, you're destroying the seed. No seed grows with noise. None. Have you ever seen a seed? It's growing and it's making noise. No, it's when a tree is falling. That's when it makes noise. So that noise, your discipline is putting together. That noise, there is something wrong with it. So anytime you see yourself, let this be a take home for you. Anytime you want to do that, remember, there's something wrong. Discipline is not supposed to be noisy. I was teaching in the academy yesterday and I said, discipline is the most private part of parenting. The moment you need to discipline your child and everybody will be hailing you, is your ego you're treating, not teaching the child. Do my children misbehave a lot? But we understand that discipline is teaching. He's not tearing down. I don't need to tear you. Discipline is not criticism. It's connection, it's correction. I don't need to tear you down for me to actually make sure that you have learned. So we need the skills of how to even discipline our children to actually be able to do things. We need the skills of how to help our children emotionally. It was Bishop Feb that was talking about emotional and mental health. It wasn't a thing when we were growing up. It's a thing today. You miss it. You're on the road to a child who you'll be hearing suicide. If you see how many cases of children cutting themselves we have. Cutting, self-harm. Children cutting themselves. One of our very big deacons in church, there was a program in church, and then the daughter comes and gives testimony that she was suicidal, and then God helped her. The thought went down. The guy couldn't believe it. My 13-year-old has been suicidal for 2 years. Most of your children are suicidal in their houses, but you're not hearing it because you're not connecting. What skills are you building? And I'm going to be ending with this. I had said they should project a certain this thing that I have. I don't know if it's there. Now, there's something called the 5-generation rule. The 5-generation rule. It says that how a parent raises their child, the love they give, the values they teach, the emotional environment they offer, the education they provide, influences, and not just by their children, whether good or evil, has an effect to the 5th generation. And I'm going to prove it to you today before I leave, if that's the only thing I was able to get you to remember. Now, these contrasting legacies provide an example of what we call these 5-generation rules. Now, we're going to be studying the Edwards family, Jonathan Edward. You can Google him. 2 American families who lived in the same generation, and a study was done on them. Jonathan Edward and Matt Jukes. Jonathan Edward was a preacher in the 1700s. He was one of the most respected preachers to this day. In his times, you can read up on him. And he attended Yale at the age of 13, and then went on to become the president, and eventually of Princeton College. He was the president of Princeton College. And eventually he married in 1727, and they were blessed with 11 children. Now, it was said that every night, Jonathan Edward in his home would spend an hour conversing with his family, praying a blessing over his children. Fathers, there's something that I teach in the academy, and I will talk about instructional order. The instructional order is given to fathers alone, not mothers. Because you are the priest of the home. There is nowhere in the Bible where any woman was asked after any child. If you find, show me. I'm a Bible scholar. Nowhere. Every time a child went astray, a father was called upon. His fathers are giving instruction. The Bible said that the father will give instructions. Instructions are from you. Blessings come from you. So the instructional order is your order. And if you don't wake up every day as a father to bless your children, you do them a disservice. Because the prophecies your children will leave are those blessings. They are the prophecies. They're the prophecies. And that's what it is that they need. So this man blessed his children every night. Every night. Father, say every night. Every night. If you can't do night, do morning. My husband blesses our children every single day. Morning. I hear him. Sometimes I'm even sleeping, it's in the night. He takes off. It is your responsibility. If there's nothing you get from here, go home, start by tomorrow, and start instructing and start blessing your children every night. And one of the things that happened to this American educator is that eventually they decided to trace his descendants. Now, at the time when they were deciding to trace his descendants, they found another person, Matt Jukes, who was also an American, parent who lived in the same time that Jonathan Edwards lived. They found about 40 people bearing the Jukes name in the American prisons. So they wondered what exactly was happening. And that was what happened. So this came to people's attention when the family tree of 42 different men in New York prison system was traced back to him. So he lived in New York at about the same time Jonathan Edwards lived. So now this is what happened to the descendants. Jonathan Edwards had 13 college presidents, 65 college professors, 75 military officers, 80 public servants, 60 authors, 60 doctors, 30 judges, 100 pastors, 100 lawyers, 3 U.S. senators, and 1 United States vice president. That's his lineage. The Jukes, Max Jukes, had 310 die as paupers, poor people. 150 criminals, 7 murderers, 10 were drunks, and 190 of them were prostitutes. I have shared this today to ask you, if someone studied your descendants to the 4th generation later when you are gone, what would they discover? What do you want them to discover? Do you want a Jonathan Edwards legacy, or do you want a Max Jukes legacy? You are your own legacy. Your child is not your legacy. The life you live today is your legacy. Max Jukes is the name. Max Jukes. Max Jukes. Jukes. Max. The other one is Jonathan Edwards. I don't know why this is. Jonathan Edwards. Jonathan Edwards. So this is a food for thought for you. I want you to think about it. What legacies am I leaving? The commissioner was talking about what you do, how you dress. And let me conclude by saying that parenting is war. How you fight is how you finish. Where you stop is where the next generation will start from. If not, tell me, why did Nehemiah fight the war, that he had no business fighting that war if Solomon did what was right? Why was Moses, a man who was called the most meek person on planet Earth, suffer with anger issues? Why? He was born into the lineage of the Levites, and what it means is that he suffered something, a war that his forefathers couldn't complete. What war are you living for your children to fight today? Fight a good war of faith so that your children will not have to fight tomorrow.